Here for you. Yes, there we go. We got a little volume coming to this thing now. Yeah, this is the BFTAA and More Show. I'm your host, Louis George Walker, on this hot day in Kansas City. Yes, it's hot. It's a little warm in here in the studio, and I've been working on that. I'll tell you about that in a minute, because we're trying to bring that temperature down a little bit. So we've got some things working, and hopefully it's gonna turn out to be all right, because I know I've got some people coming in here later on in the week, and we want to make sure we've got everything right for them. All right. So we're getting ready for Juneteenth that's coming up. Yes, Juneteenth will be coming up. I got to get the chat on here so I can see you guys. If you're chatting, I want to know. Let's see, I'll do a refresh on it, see if it pops up. Oh, yeah, okay, we're connected. All right, so if you want to text me a message or on Facebook and stuff, put it on, I can see it pop up on my screen here. And that's a good thing, that I can kind of get that. You can see it also if it pops up here, so you can find out if I'm paying attention to what you're saying. but yeah, we're glad to be with you. It is a Monday right here in Kansas City. This is the BFTAA and More Show. I'm your host, Louis George Walker. I don't know if you can hear fans going in the background. That's something, if you can hear that, let me know. I'll be quiet for a second. All right, so are you picking up the fan noise? I'd like to know that. So if you hear the fan noise, let me know. I'll have to see if I can reposition them or put some sound baffles around them so that I can keep the sound down. But I definitely need something circulating the air while I'm in here. Yes, this is our new studio location, which in a way is good. It's on the lower level of the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. And it's a smaller room that's kind of isolated, walled off, so we don't have outside windows. So I'm hoping that I can cool this space down a little bit for us. But we're going to go ahead with what's going on in the world of the Black Family Technology Awareness Association and what's going on in the community. Yes, this is a product of the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. We came together and formed a radio station, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, KUAW Radio, KUAW.org. on the web. So be sure and check us out. Check out some of the things that we're doing. You can also listen to this broadcast other than just watch it. If you go to the TuneIn app, the online radio box, MyTuner, or Get Me Radio, Radio Garden, all of those, you can pick this up in the audio format. We broadcast 24 hours a day on the audio side. On the live side, on Facebook and YouTube, we do shows that are probably about 12 hours worth of shows a week. We're looking to build that up. So if you have a show or a program that you would like to try and introduce to the listening audience, get in contact with us here at KUAW Radio. You can call us at 816-599-6893. That's 816-599-6893. And we'll be glad to talk with you. I got to see if I'm getting any texts or anything. Sometimes people try and let me know if they're not hearing something or all of that through different means. That looks like everything is working okay. So you can also hit us up on Facebook, KUAW-Radio. This is an internet radio station, so we broadcast all around the world on the internet. So if you have a smart speaker like from Amazon or Google or somebody, you can tell it to play KUAW, and you will hear this broadcast there also. So we're glad that we're able to come to you and bring you this information and hope that you're enjoying the show. Now, one of the things that the Black Family Technology Awareness Association does is we like to get our young people and families involved in technology. We have a couple of robotics teams that we sponsor here in Vex Robotics and Lego Robotics, and we're looking for some volunteers to help us out working with the kids on the robotics program. We meet with our kids every Saturday. If you've got 2 to 3 hours that you can spend on a Saturday working with young people in robotics, I would like to talk with you about that. We need people that work with kids from 9 to 12 or from 13 through 18 years old. So we've got 2 different age groups, the elementary and then the middle and high school. So if you'd like to get involved with the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, and if you'd like to work with our robotics program, we are looking for volunteers so that the program will be starting up again when school starts, and we need to have a full boat of coaches and mentors and people to help out as we get this thing going. So let us know if you want to help out the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. And if you want to do some work in the background, not just working with kids, but helping us out with our fundraising or with our back office and some of the other things that we do, writing grants and that type of thing, get in touch with us. You can get in touch with us by email at BFTAA@sbcglobal.net. That's BFTAA@sbcglobal.net. So, yeah, summertime is here. Some might say it come a little early, but it's about right. It usually starts getting hot this time. I think officially summertime doesn't start until next week, but you can't fool Mother Nature. It knows when it wants to get hot, and it is hot out there. Last time I looked at my watch, it was 97 degrees. It's 80 degrees where I am now, but it's dry, so that makes it a lot better. So we're just glad to be here and not in that 97-degree weather. Yes, and I'm going to get out in it in a little bit. One of the things that we do here also is we like to introduce you to opportunities in technology and to spur science and investigation, curiosity in our young people. And we do that a lot of times. We bring you what's going on at NASA. That's a weekly program that's part of this program that we show every week, comes from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So we're going to go in right now and see what's happening this week at NASA, and then we'll see about what's up with NASA as we see what's going on at the space station. So we got 2 NASA programs that we'll bring to you right quick. So sit back and enjoy what's going on this week at NASA. I think I've got it right in here.
The Webb telescope is closer to starting its mission of science, an historic look at the center of our galaxy, and the Crew 3 astronauts reflect on their mission.
All right, bear with me as I get the new what's going on this week in NASA, because, yeah, you've already seen that, so we don't want to bore you with the same thing over again. Let's see if we've got what's going on right now at NASA. Yeah, just a little updating I have to do with the broadcast. So here we go. Now let's see what's happening this week at NASA.
Our Artemis 1 mega moon rocket is rolled to the launch pad. The astronauts of our Crew 2 mission come to Washington and investigating the impact of dust on our climate. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. On June 6th, teams at our Kennedy Space Center rolled our Space Launch System rocket, Orion spacecraft, and mobile launcher from the Vehicle Assembly Building to Launch Pad 39B to prepare for the next wet dress rehearsal test attempt ahead of the uncrewed Artemis 1 flight test. The wet dress rehearsal test is currently targeted for no earlier than June 19th. Our SpaceX Crew 2 astronauts, NASA's Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur, Akihiko Hoshide of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and the European Space Agency's Thomas Pesquet, visited the Washington, D.C. area during the week of June 6th to share experiences from their recent flight to the International Space Station. During a stop at our Mary W. Jackson NASA headquarters building, they met with NASA leadership and discussed their mission with employees. They also attended an event hosted by the Ambassador of France to the United States, during which the French space agency CNES became the 20th country to sign the Artemis Accords. The Crew 2 astronauts and their Crew Dragon Endeavour spacecraft spent 199 days in orbit, a record for the longest spaceflight by a U.S. crewed spacecraft. The Earth Surface Mineral Dust Source Investigation, or EMIT, is one of the primary payloads scheduled for delivery to the International Space Station on the SpaceX CRS-25 cargo mission. The investigation will use NASA-invented imaging technology to identify the composition of mineral dust from Earth's arid regions and analyze dust carried through the atmosphere from deserts to see what effects it has on the Earth system and to human populations. The CRS-25 cargo mission is currently targeted to launch no earlier than June 28th. The main body of our Europa Clipper spacecraft was delivered recently to our Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California. Engineers and technicians there will finish assembling the spacecraft by hand, then test it to make sure it can withstand the journey to Jupiter's icy moon Europa. Targeted for launch in October 2024, the mission will make nearly 50 flybys of the Jovian moon, which is believed to have an underground ocean that contains twice as much water as all oceans on Earth combined. The ocean on Europa may also currently have conditions suitable for supporting life. Our Ames Research Center recently unveiled a life-size display model of the agency's Viper moon rover for visitors at the Chabot Space and Science Center. Viper, which is managed by Ames and is part of our Artemis program, will be delivered to the moon's south pole in late 2023 to map and explore the region for water and other resources ahead of future human missions to the lunar surface. That's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/TWAN.
All right, that's what's going on. Yeah, that's what's going on at NASA this week, and we're so glad that we were able to bring that to you. Got to turn down this other speaker right quick. Yeah, so that's part of what's happening up in space. We've got one more that we want to bring you before we go on, and this is Space to Ground, which mainly deals with the space station that is up in orbit around the Earth right now. And this is all part of our government's product, or multi-governments really right now, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, but there are a lot of countries that contribute to this space program and building the station, adding parts onto it, making it larger, and being able to do more things. And if your young people are involved, or you think that they like science and technology, the space type stuff, then you need to go to the NASA website this summer. Go to nasa.gov. There are a lot of projects and stuff that kids can work on and get involved with. that they can work on their own, or you can work on with them. Some of them require that you buy some things that they have at home. Some of them use household products that you may already have, and some of them can be done online. So be sure and go to nasa.gov and check out some of the things that the government, it's your tax dollars at work, that have come up with to help out with getting your kids involved in STEM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. That's what this program or this organization was formed on, not directly, because we were mainly interested in getting the broadband infrastructure. We wanted all homes to get into the new technology. So that was the first goal of the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, was to have our families get online, to get broadband internet to the home, have computers in the home that the kids could work with, that the families could work with, to take advantage and to improve your standard of living. We still do that. We had a donation of computers January before last. We were able to give to a lot of the families, some of our robotic students and other families, brand new computers, had never been used, and we were able to give those out. So when we get donations like that, we try to make them available to people that need them as soon as possible. My wife always says, we don't need to hang on to that stuff that people are donating, and then you sit around and don't know what to do with it, or you end up throwing it out. No, when we get it in, we want to get it back into people's hands so it can be used as quickly as possible. So that's one thing that we like to do here. So as we go farther into it, let's look at right now Space to Ground from the NASA, and get a little bit of information what's going on in Space to Ground right now. Here we go.
Houston Station on Space to Ground.
Welcome to Space to Ground. I'm Chelsea Bayarte. Did you know that a third of American astronauts experience vision changes in space? That number may be even bigger for astronauts on long-duration missions. The astronauts aboard the station are getting eye exams this week to help researchers understand why. So what else is on the to-do list this week? Tasks include space plumbing and looking out the window. If your eyes are getting a little puffy this time of year, that may be because of allergies. But if you've seen an astronaut with a puffy face, that could be because gravity is not there to pull down their body's fluids. Vision researchers have created an imaging technique used on the space station called optical coherence tomography. It's basically a way to take a picture of the back of the eye, and the astronauts on board are using it to examine their eyes this week. This data is important to understand as NASA prepares for long-duration space flights to the Moon and one day onto Mars through NASA's Artemis program. NASA has selected Axiom Space and Collins Aerospace to develop the next generation of spacesuits to advance spacewalking capabilities to astronauts stepping outside of the space station and one day the Moon. These spacesuits build on the success of previous suits by increasing mobility, new technologies, and advanced life support capabilities. The suits will arrive aboard the space station after they complete all of the necessary environmental testing here on Earth. To quote Russian cosmonaut Oleg Artemiev, "There's no sweeter sound on the space station than the sound of a working toilet." NASA astronaut Jessica Watkins took to Twitter to talk about space plumbing, explaining that each member of the crew brings unique skill sets to the table, and sometimes that includes fixing toilets in space. Watkins is brand new to the Twitterverse, so give @astro_Watkins a follow. Speaking of tweets from space, NASA astronaut Bob Hines shared these photos while looking at our Earth from 250 miles above. He used his aerospace engineering background to explain that as the wind blows past the mountains, the viscosity of the air causes eddies, or vortices, to be shed from alternating sides of the mountain. It's the same phenomenon that makes a flag wave. Bob Hines may have been looking down at the Earth for those photos, but did you know that you can look up and see the space station as it flies above your hometown? Go to spotthestation.gov to find out what time to look up, and if you capture any photos, share them with us using #SpotTheStation. That's Space to Ground for this week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
All right. Yes, that was pretty interesting. Let me turn that back down. So yeah, that was a few things that's not too bad going on out in space right now. And I didn't know that you could go to Spot the Station. Be sure and remember that you can spot the space station as it circles the Earth. Go to Spot the Station, find out from your home, town, wherever you are, what time of the day or night that you can look up and see the space station as it goes by. That would be pretty interesting. That would be a great thing to show your children about. And it would be, exciting even for some of us to look at. Also got a reminder from the Missouri Department of Economic Development. Public input for the Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program. Draft guideline closes June 15th. So they're looking now for public input. The Department of Economic Development has requested public feedback on its proposed Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program, funded via the state of Missouri's share of the America Rescue Plan, which was $265 million. Our share isn't that much. This program is intended to help providers and communities across regions invest in broadband infrastructure to bridge the access to service gap in unserved and underserved areas through competitive grants. The public input survey linked below will assist the Department of Economic Development in creating the Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program guidelines, including the minimum and maximum awards, eligible applicants, and funding priorities. So this is something that you can have some input on. It's time for you to write some letters, to fill out the survey, and to have some input on how this grant program will work. The public input survey will remain open until June the 15th, so you've got 2 more days. It will close June the 15th at 5 p.m. If you are unable to submit comments online, you may submit comments by contacting the Department of Economic Development at 573-751-4962. That's the Department of Economic Development, the Missouri Department of Economic Development, at 573-751-4962. So if you want to find out about how you can have some input and how this infrastructure grant program, and we do need to improve our broadband infrastructure. There are a lot of services or a lot of areas in the rural counties that don't have good internet access. There are still some pockets within the urban core that don't have good internet access. And there are homes that are not wired. There are apartment buildings. There are different things that they ran into different difficulties in those not being single-family homes that weren't able to get wired. And sometimes we need to look at the fact that there's low-income housing or apartments and buildings and some that are rental units, but they still need to be wired for broadband. A lot of people of lower income are staying in rental units, and they need to be able to get the wiring, get the infrastructure set up that their homes will be able to access the internet. I know they wanted to make sure that it went to homeowners early on, like Google had a problem when they first came in with the Google service because it was for homeowners. And a lot of people in the lower income areas don't own their homes. But we do need to make sure that we don't bypass any of those that need that broadband connection. It is something that is almost getting past being a luxury. What's past a luxury is definitely a necessity. We can't say that I don't say that it's essential to life, but it's darn near close to it and stuff. So if you got a chance, you want to go and help set up this program or help give them ideas on what they should do with this program, the Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program, they're taking in your information. You can fill out a survey up until June the 15th. All right. So what else are we doing out there? One thing we found out, and I was looking at some information as governments and as the internet has become something that's more mature now. You know, when we first got online, when we first started the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, most of our messages we wanted to send by email. Email was the top thing to send out. We weren't sending out as many texts to things. Now texting is probably more of the internet than email. We still use email, but texts are becoming something that is more important. And so the internet has to change. It changes just like everything else. So even though you say, yeah, I was aware of the internet and I use it and I do email, you have to keep learning how to do different things on the internet. You know, the early days of digital government services was pretty much giving you a lot of graphic designs and pictures and all that, but we've moved past that. It says that now we have to get into consolidation, modernization, and simplification. So when you go to the kansascity.gov website, the Missouri government site, the federal government site, you know, we're not looking as much for the fancy pictures and graphics and animations on them, because a lot of times we're accessing these things from our phone. We want to get to that information that we're looking for, or we want to find that agency and get them a message real quick. So that's something that we're starting to change. It says the internet and email were both still new when digital government first emerged in the 90s. Government adopted them as they came, and the assumptions, but over time, some of the early HTML excitement has fell out of favor. So there's a lot of things that the HTML, which is the hypertext markup language for all the nerdy people out there in the world, but that was the coding that they used to do a lot. And with that came a lot of things that got people, you know, to putting pictures on there, to putting a lot of animations, things that maybe didn't help, but we were just glad to see them. We were so excited to just see things on the internet. And now we want to do more actual working on the internet. So texts are becoming the more things, less photography on the websites. And as you're designing websites, or if you're in a company or a business, you may look at that you have to get into what's going on today. You know, and that is what's happening. They say that texts are being read more often than emails. So all of us have gotten so many emails that sometimes we don't even look at them. Generally, if you get a text, you at least look at it. But there's becoming a lot of spam coming on text too, so it's getting ready to be the same way. But for governments, this article is saying that they need to get simplified, not having as much graphics and stuff on there as having the information to get you to the sites that you want to get the business done, to find what you're looking for. And I can agree with that. That's something that sometimes you can get lost with clicking on links to this and that, and you don't know if you're on the right one. If they just tell you and you can go to it, that would be good. And keeping websites updated, just like ours at the BFTAA and KUAW, is a job. I mean, it's something that you have to do constantly to stay abreast of keeping things right. So look at that and decide if maybe your website or what you're doing can be done more with text or with less illustration, less art. That was a thing that we had to have before, and now we don't have to have it as much. Now, one of the things I did want to let you know is I've got a room air conditioner, a little portable air conditioner in here now, and I've set up, and I see that the temperature is going up some now. So I've got it in here, and it's working, although I did have to put the green screen between me and the air conditioner, so the temperatures went up 2 degrees. I see it's 82 in here. It was 80. So I don't know what it's like on the other side of the screen. It may be getting cooler, but that's one of the things that I wanted to do, is get some kind of air conditioning so it's not as humid in here, and it definitely is a little cooler than outside, but it's not super cool. But it's bearable. It's better than no air conditioning whatsoever. So we're going to be working with this and making sure that everything's working right with our air conditioner, our portable air conditioner right now. But that was a job. I wanted to make sure I got it in today, and I did come down here. I'll let you guys know that if you come to the studio, we do have air conditioning. It might not be ice cold, but it's not as hot as outside, and that is always a blessing right now. So Juneteenth is coming up. There was a lot of things started on 18th and Vine the last couple of weeks they've been having, but the official national brand new Juneteenth holiday is going to be June the 20th. So it's a Monday holiday. It's not set for Juneteenth, where they used to would do it on a certain day. Now it's not even in the teens. See, it's June 20th is when we'll celebrate Juneteenth. So go figure. But now it's a national holiday, and we'll have to see how that affects what happens with that holiday. When it was more of a local or even a cultural holiday, it was something that you could say we're celebrating it and everybody else kind of didn't know. I know when I was coming up as a child here in Kansas City, never had heard of Juneteenth. People in Texas had celebrated Juneteenth, but up here in Kansas City, as I grew up, our family, that was definitely not a holiday, even in our neighborhood or in our community, to do anything special for Juneteenth. But now it is recognized as a African-American national holiday, which, yeah, for good or for worse. I mean, we're kind of glad that it is. People that get a time off work are probably glad that they've got another holiday to celebrate. And a long weekend coming up. So you've got a long weekend coming in this weekend if you get the Juneteenth off. Now, some people are working at jobs that you won't get it off, but I know most federal employees will get it off. I don't know about state and city workers. Banks will be closed, and that post office won't run, all of that, because it will be a national holiday. I don't know how it's done on the local side. And there'll be a lot more attention to it. You've probably seen some of it already, and there's some controversy over the corporatization of Juneteenth. Now that it is a national holiday, then there's a lot more corporate interest in it. I think Walmart had come up with a Juneteenth item. I think it was a pie or something in a can, but they're saying that they kind of ripped off another black company, I think, that had ice cream. I think it was a red velvet cake ice cream flavor or something. But now Walmart has their own, and they're putting it out for Juneteenth. You'll see a lot of things that'll have corporations getting involved with it. So it's good that your cultural things that we did that maybe were just in the black community become more mainstream, because that is an integration of the wider society recognizing the value of our culture. So that is a good point. At the same time, you feel like, well, we had our own little holiday that was kind of private. We didn't maybe get the day off work, but it was kind of our own thing. And now it's become a national symbol. So you lose the little small anonymity, but we gain that perspective that other people can enjoy our culture and things that we find beneficial for our culture and that we want to share with the rest of the world. So everybody, I hope you have a happy Juneteenth. One of the big things down in Texas, I guess they say, is having the red soda water. So you may see about that. Some people say just Kool-Aid, but some red drink is a good thing to go into your Juneteenth celebration. There's usually a lot of barbecuing, picnics, outdoor activities in that. And then there's family reunion times that join in the Juneteenth celebration. So this year, we're going to have a National Juneteenth Day without the pandemic getting in the way, and it'll be a time of celebration. So I hope that you get out and enjoy it. Some of the I was looking at a news article that I have coming out, and they said the Juneteenth spotlight. So they're treating it pretty much like Black History Month. In some circles, is that okay? That this article mentioned blacks in politics, blacks in this and that. So it's like we're getting a Black History Month day thrown in the summer. They talked about Shirley Chisholm, Jesse Jackson, Barbara Jordan. They talked about some of our artists like James Baldwin and some of the heroes of the past, Frederick Douglass, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. Those are all names that will be coming up throughout this time. And if you dig deep, there's even more historical people that you may want to look up as we're in STEM. You may look up the African Americans that have made huge contributions in STEM. Some are still alive today, and some in the past. A lot of the inventions that we have. So we go over all of that. So that's going to be something that you'll see more in the coming week, as Juneteenth is rolling around, even though it is in Pride Month, and there's a lot of things going on with the LGBTQ community. We'll take some time to have Juneteenth stuck in there also. So get ready, enjoy it. Be careful of too much commercialization, but let people know that is a historic day that marked really a sad moment, is that it was freedom, but it was freedom for people that had been free for some time but didn't know it. In Texas, the word got down, and it was after the Civil War, a little while after that, before the slaves in certain parts of Texas were told, or that the soldiers, the Union came in and said they were free. They didn't know that they had been emancipated, that the slavery had been made against the law in the states in rebellion. They still hadn't passed the 13th and 14th Amendment, or the 14th Amendment, to really make freedom more enshrined in government by law. But the Emancipation Proclamation had started, and it was with the states that were in rebellion. So there were a lot of states that didn't have to end slavery because they weren't in rebellion against the United States, and the only slaves that were freed with the Emancipation Proclamation were those that were in states that were in rebellion at the time. So, to know the history is to say it's a good thing that all the slaves in America were able to receive their freedom, and some in small isolated pockets still didn't get the word for a long time, but that it was delivered and that they did get their freedom, and it became a holiday that's celebrated mainly in the South, in the Texas area, and it's spread with the migration of people from those areas to other parts of the country, and Juneteenth now has become a national holiday. So I think that is a good thing, as to show the cultural awareness of the country. So happy Juneteenth Day. All I can say is I hope you enjoy it, and think about what it's about. Not just that it's a day off, but what is the meaning behind that? Because we have to remember that. There's also things going on in the news right now. The January 6th committee of the Congress has been broadcasting some of the hearings, bringing you up to date on all of the stuff that has been they've been subpoenaing and interviewing people and trying to get to the bottom of what happened in January the 6th of 2020, or 2021 was it, after the election, and the insurrection, where people actually tried to stop government from having a peaceful transfer of power. So it was really a coup attempt that happened at that time, because if they succeeded, then the duly elected person wouldn't have taken office. So that would basically mean that democracy would not have worked, that the people that had voted for and had won the election would not be the people in power. The transition, the peaceful, which they used to say that the United States was a country for over 200 years that had what other countries didn't have, was the peaceful transfer of power. And we had a transfer of power, but we can no longer say that it was a peaceful transfer of power, that it had to be done under guard, with people that had weapons and guns drawn and fighting that. And all because of what they're showing right now. And we'll have to see with all the information that comes out, is that there was a lie that it wasn't a fair election, even though no one could prove it, and that people came in and wanted to disrupt the election and not let the person who had won, President Biden, take office, and even threaten the lives of the people that were trying to have the government perform as the government should perform. We've had contested elections before. I mean, as early as what was the election in when Bush got in? That was an election that was contested about the hanging chads and stuff in Florida, but nobody saw violence. You know, nobody got ready to overthrow anything. They went to court. There was an agreement in court. The judges ruled that, Bush had won, and it was done. This time, even after courts have said that there's no justification for saying that this was false, there are people that still don't want to admit that Biden won. And that is new in America. That is a new thing. We've had contested elections, and we've had elections that have changed hands. Truman against Dewey, where the newspapers that came out already saying that Dewey had won, and the next day they found from the count that Truman had won. But nobody went to war about it. Nobody stormed the Capitol about it. And that was, announced as one thing and then turned out to be another thing. And it went okay. But today, in today's society, we've gotten to where we can't go by just the law. That people don't want to, they used to say that we are a nation of laws, but people are wanting to fight against that and not be a nation of laws. I mean, they've always fought against it because you've got criminals, and that's why you've got judges and stuff, because people don't always go by the law. And now we see that it has even went to the highest seats in government that people don't want to go by the law. We've had trouble. We had things that went on with Nixon and a president resigning and all that, but none of it caused the violence or the loss of life that we saw on January the 6th. Unprecedented. A whole different climate in America where people want to overthrow the government by force. Not by getting votes, not by winning elections, but by force. That is just astounding in America. But as we see, government is still going on. They're letting you know what happened, what the investigation has turned up. So you can tune in, or you can watch the talking heads later, or you can watch it yourself. It's all out there, what the investigation has found. So I hope that you do watch it, that you do read about it, that you do see some of it to see exactly what's going on. What's going on. Don't go by just what some people have said, but look at the preponderance of evidence that is out there and make that judgment for yourself. All right. I want to thank you for listening to the BFTAA and More show. This is your host, Louis George Walker. So glad that you were able to join us today. As I say, I'm going to be working on keeping this place cool and it's hot because it is warm in Kansas City today. It's in the upper 90 degrees. We haven't got 100, but we're knocking on 100's door. So we're going to be continuing to work to try and make sure we stay cool. I hope you stay cool at home. Be sure and check on your neighbors if they are elderly or young children, if they don't have air conditioning. See about getting them some fans or getting them to a cooling station. There's a lot of help in this city, and I'm sure in other cities across the country. For those that may be in rural areas, check on those neighbors if you haven't seen them or heard from them in a day, because this heat can be bad, and this is summertime, and we don't want anyone to lose a life unnecessarily if all they need to be done is to cool off. We should be able to cool off somewhere. So be careful, be safe, enjoy the outdoors, but enjoy it safely. For those of you that love swimming, now's a good time to be in the swimming pool. That's one place that you can really cool off. So I will be back again I may not be back next week because I have an anniversary coming up. Yes, we have an anniversary June the 21st. And I'm pretty sure we'll be out of town, so you'll maybe see a recorded broadcast on June the 20th as we will be celebrating our 37th anniversary. Let's see. Wait a minute. Let me get it there. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. I think it's the 37th anniversary. Wedding anniversary. I'll have that right before I get home, so I can definitely let my wife know. But yes, we've got a wedding anniversary that's coming up, and I've been married to the most wonderful lady in the world, and we're going to celebrate. All right, so have a great time. We'll see you week after next on the BFTAA and More show. Bye-bye.